everyday lowest prices on all grocery items, trust Low Cost Supermarket for the widest variety of quality products at low prices. Freshly picked fruits and vegetables, healthy products for your well-being, high-quality meat cuts, and a warm and friendly service. Low Cost Supermarket, Southern Main Road, Cunupia.
IBN can be viewed on the go now with the Airlink TV app for Google devices. Simply go to the Google Play Store, search for the Airlink TV app. Download the app, click on the link and fill out the form. The account activation will be emailed or texted to the user. It's safe as no credit card is needed. The first 30 days are free and you can subscribe and receive a box for your TV to stream the same content.
Keep refreshed with Oasis Premium Purified Water. Now available in more thirst-quenching options. 330 ml, 600 ml, 1.5 liter, and 5 liters. Choose the size that fits you best. Grab one today.
Good evening, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to See Results on IBN TV. And also we are streaming on the IBN TV Facebook page and our See Results Facebook page. I am your math teacher, Sir Ijaz Ramsahai, and today we're going to get back into the strand of measurement. All right, so earlier on this week for mathematics, we would have looked at fractions, particularly comparing proper fractions, all right? And that was a continuation of what we did last week, Thursday, when we started our journey into fractions, all right? And we looked at the basics of proper fractions and equivalent fractions and also in reducing fractions, all right? So if you missed all of that stuff, don't worry. It is all available for you on our Facebook page under the videos tab, as well as on YouTube, on the See Results YouTube channel, all right? So you can have a look at those and, you know, benefit from it, use it to study, to help you to achieve what you desire or you aspire to achieve for your SEA exam, all right? We have a lot of episodes already up there, lots of content, so do check it out. And of course, we do have 3 assignments that are due tomorrow, which is Friday at 11:59 p.m. All right, we have an English language arts, a mathematics, and a creative writing quiz. Well, the creative writing is the assignment, and the ELA and math are both quizzes. All right, you do the ELA and the math, and you will get your results almost instantaneously. All right, you just click review when you're done, and you'll get the feedback. You'll see where you were wrong and where you could have probably gone in a different direction. All right, so avail yourself of those things, and, you know, God willing, it will help you to better yourself, all right? So we're back here now with our mathematics, and we're switching gears a little bit into measurements, all right? And for those parents who are joining us for the first time, a lot of parents are finding this just as educational as their kids from a different angle, all right? You are actually getting to see what exactly, you know, the SEA exam requires of your child, and it helps you to help them to study, all right? Sometimes parents are messaging us with questions of clarification, you know, for clarification on various things that we've taught, all right? They understood it, but they want to understand it even better so that they can help their child, all right? So that's excellent. Of course, we welcome that. And, you know, with that said, there are 4 strands that are tested in your SEA paper, parents. You have the number strand, you have the measurement strand, you have you have statistics, sorry, and you have geometry, all right? Sorry about that. So those are the 4 strands, and the SEA paper is made up of 45 questions, all right? About half of those comes from the number strand, and what we are going back into today is measurement, which is the second most populated then number of questions in the paper, all right? There are 9 questions, 4 in sections 1 and 2, and 1 in section 3, all right? So there's a variety of topics in the different strands, and of course, this is mathematics, so most of these topics are very much interrelated. All right, earlier on, or probably a week or two back, we would have looked at perimeter and area of squares and rectangles. All right, and you know, those dimensions of those figures were given in certain units. All right, we had millimeters, we had centimeters, kilometers, and so on. And we really didn't need to express or to show an understanding or an appreciation of what that meant. All right, we just needed to add in terms of our perimeter, the sides, or multiply to get our areas and so on, and we just expressed it in terms of the units. All right, but you are expected to actually understand what those units mean, you know, what they represent, to have a good idea of what they represent in the real world, all right, and have an ability to convert between them, all right? And I like to always emphasize to you that these things are more than just, you know, applicable for an SEA exam. A lot of people have the question, you know, about maths all the time. Why I need to study maths for? I don't need to know that. I don't need to know this. All I need to know is how to check money. You know, a lot of students, you know, especially older students in secondary school and so on, they think that that's all that they need to know from mathematics, or maybe 1 or 2 other things. But it's not so, all right? Having an appreciation for the different disciplines within mathematics, you know, up to a certain level has a lot of applicability in your real and actual life, and it will help you, all right? So if you're going to get into construction, you're going to get into anything that has to do, you know, with buildings, anything that has to do with you making measurements, taking measurements, and creating stuff from those measurements. All right, maybe you have a job to do and you need to make an estimate, a mental estimate of something, of the area, the size of the area, the length of something, how much material you need to get. You know, you're looking at something, you want to be able to eyeball it, to have an idea. Mathematics is here to help you to understand what you need, you know, to create or to come up with these things. All right, so we're discussing length now, and that is just a reminder to you that, yes, I want all of those kids watching out there today to understand, and if you like mathematics, you have an inclination towards it, don't let anybody discourage you and make you feel like, you know, mathematics is just this abstract thing. Mathematics is very much applicable to your real life as a person beyond the SEA and even beyond CXC and so on exams, all right? So the standard unit of length is in the metric system, is the meter. All right, and this system is basically a decimal system. Now, we haven't done, you know, a comprehensive look at decimals as yet, but the nice thing, again, about mathematics is that everything is interrelated, so we're going to have, you know, an opportunity to look at the decimal system a little bit more closely. We did look at it in our very first couple of episodes when we looked at place value. All right, we looked at the place value of the numbers, you know, before the decimal point and after the decimal point. So that is probably as much as you need to know for this particular lesson. So in that sense, yes, we have looked at decimals before, just not as a topic by itself, all right? But while we're learning about length today, you're going to learn some stuff about decimals that you can apply, especially if you're learning decimals right now in school, or you have homework on decimals or anything like that. All right, this episode might be particularly helpful to you, all right? So the metric system, the standard unit of length is the meter, all right? So you might recognize from watching popular movies and so on, especially American movies. You know, that's Hollywood is where we get most of our movies from in this part of the world. When you're looking at movies with cars and so on, and the speeds they are given in miles per hour, all right? But then here in Trinidad, all around us, we are seeing these signs. You know, we are seeing on the speedometer on the car predominantly, you're seeing kilometers per hour. The speed limit is 100 kilometers per hour in certain areas and so on. We deal with a different system of measurement here. And as a matter of fact, in most parts of the world, we deal with the metric system. But it might seem, you know, like that's not the case because of the popularity of the American media, all right? So our standard unit for length here in Trinidad and Tobago that we use is the meter and the kilometer, right? And the different variations of those as opposed to the mile, which is in the, or actually in the imperial system, they would use feet and inches, but they also use the mile in the US system of measurement to deal with longer distances, all right? Feet and inches, and they deal with miles, and shorter than that, they'll deal with yards and so on, all right? But we tend to use the metric system here, all right? So there are units of length that are smaller and larger than the meter, all right? But they are related to the meter, and we can tell which they are by looking at the prefixes of those terms, all right? So you'll notice we have the common ones here being the millimeter, the centimeter, the meter, and the kilometer, all right? So they are all units of length that are related to each other, all right? They are related to the meter, which is the base unit, all right? And they are different scales, basically, along a spectrum, which is the meter, all right? And we're going to see how that is applicable and what about it makes it connected to decimals, all right? So although the decimeter, decameter, and hectometer, you know, some of you out there might be hearing some of these words for the very first time because they are not commonly used, all right? We tend to think about millimeters, centimeters, meters, and kilometers more often than not, all right? These are rarely used, but it is important to know their place value in relation to the other units of length, all right? So we have the kilometer, the hectometer, the decameter, the base itself, which is just the meter, the decimeter, centimeter, and millimeter, all right? And these here are the prefixes that you can use. They can also apply to other metric units, all right? So these are just the prefixes, and we have here, you know, a little phrase by which you can use to memorize them, all right? A little bit morbid, but it says that King Henry died by drinking chocolate milk, all right? You may not need to memorize this, but if it helps, you know, by all means, feel free to use it, all right? So the kilo means 1,000 of something, the hecto meaning 100, the deca being 10, the base, the unit itself is 1, deci is 1/10, centi is 100, and milli is 1,000, all right? So I hope everybody is with me so far, and we'll see it a little more clearly. We'll need to zoom in on this graphic a little bit, all right? So we have the meter at the center. Is it possible to get a little bit closer there? And we have the decameter, all right, which would be, you know, tens of meters. Then we have the hectometers, hundreds of meters, and the kilometer being thousands of meters, all right? And then we have the decimeter being 1/10 or 0.1 of a meter, the centimeter being 1/100th or 0.01 of a centimeter, and of a meter, and we have the millimeter, which is 1,000th or 0.001 of a millimeter. And right, this is how it's kind of related, or it's basically a decimal system, because you might remember in our normal place value chart, all right, we usually have our ones, all right, then we have our tens, we have our hundreds, we have our thousands, all right, we have our tenths here, all right, our hundredths, and our thousands here as well, all right? So it aligns very much with the typical place value in the decimal system or the denary or base 10 system, all right? Some of you should remember that from the quizzes, those of you who have been watching from the very beginning, all right? You are asked about the decimal system and an alternate name for it being the base 10 system, all right? This is because we go up in tens here when orders of 10, and we get smaller also in powers of 10 as we head in the other direction after the decimal point, all right? So that's just a little flashback to the place value and how it relates to the meters, all right? Whereas, you know, in terms of the feet and inches and so on, I believe it's 12 inches that makes a foot. So that is not a base 10, you know, we're not working in base 10 when you're dealing with feet and inches, all right? But when you're dealing with regular counting numbers every day, or your regular numbers, I should say, we typically use base 10 decimal denary in our daily lives, all right? And it very much aligns with the system of measurement or the unit of measurement in the metric system, all right? So these are some conversions that are very handy, all right, that you need to learn. You have to learn these, you need to know these, all right? And so they are that 10 millimeters is equal to a centimeter, all right? 100 centimeters is equal to a meter, 1,000 meters is a kilometer, and 1,000 millimeters is a meter, all right? Because very often you're going to be asked to convert between these different units of length, all right? So remember, they are all connected to the base unit, which is the meter, all right? So you all should familiarize yourself with this if you already haven't. I believe a lot of you would have, all right? So I just want to see those of you out there, you know, if you've done it already, if you've done your homework, if you are confident about your understanding of length before we start converting between those lengths, all right? I'm just going to open up the lines and see if you all can tell me what is the appropriate unit of length to measure these 4 different objects here on our screen. All right, we have the length of a pencil point, the thickness of your math textbook, the distance from San Fernando to Toko, and the length of the fence around your house. So if you think you know the answer to these, you can feel free to give us a call, all right, so that we know, we have an idea of where your understanding is in terms of length right now. And believe it or not, questions like this can come, as we'll see from our sample questions that I have. It does come in the essay at times, all right? So I have a caller on the line already. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Evening, this is Nicholas.
Hey, hi Nicholas, how are you doing?
I'm fine, thanks.
Can you tell me what unit of length is most appropriate to measure the length of a pencil point?
Nope, the answer for number 1 is the thickness of your maths book.
The thickness of your maths book?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so let's just pause for a second there, right? All of these things we can use different units of length to measure that are related to the meter, all right?
Yeah.
But the length of a pencil point, is that something very long or is it short?
Well, it depends on the pencil. If the pencil is short, it will be... Yeah, it will be depends on the pencil if it's long or short.
All right, but the point itself, just the point that is right with, typically, is that very long?
No.
No, so what unit of length do you think you'd use for that between the millimeter, centimeter, the meter, and the kilometer? You have any idea?
I will go with the meters.
With the meters. All right. Okay, Nicholas, thank you so much for your call, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to attempt to do something right now. I believe that we have a ruler up here. So I'll see if I can get it. All right. We do have a ruler up. All right. So this is actually not drawn or not presented on the screen to scale. All right, but I'll do some explanation of this just now because I have another caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hello.
Hi, and who am I speaking with?
Yeah.
Hi, good day. Who am I speaking with?
Hello. We are speaking with Joseph Ross here.
Hey, welcome, Joseph Ross. You are also on our Edmodo app, right? I believe I've seen your name already. All right, Joseph, can you tell me the length of a pencil point? What unit of measurement or unit of length you'd use to measure that?
Millimeters.
Millimeters. All right, great.
Yeah.
Excellent. Then do you know how many millimeters make a centimeter?
Yeah.
How much?
10 millimeters.
All right, great. All right, thank you so much for that call, Joseph. All right, so again, I'm gonna see if we can get a little close up here on our ruler. Okay, I have another call on the line. So let's finish this and then I'll explain for the benefit of those who don't understand, right? Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hello.
Hi, good day. And who am I speaking with? Hey, welcome, Brianna. Welcome, welcome. Also another regular on our Edmodo page. Can you tell me what unit of length you'd use to measure the thickness of a math textbook?
Centimeters or millimeters?
Right. You'd use a centimeter for what kind of textbook? Sorry? Right. For a thicker book, you'd use centimeters, and for a thinner textbook, you'd use the millimeter. Thank you so much, Brianna. Right? So generally, textbooks tend to be a bit thicker than copybooks and so on. So you would use your centimeter to measure the thickness of the textbook. All right? We have two more here to get into: the distance from San Fernando to Toco and the length of the fence around your house. Good evening. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV. Hello, caller.
Hello?
Hi, good day. And who am I speaking with?
Nathaniel.
Hey, welcome, Nathaniel. Can you tell me what unit of length you'd use to measure the distance from San Fernando to Toco?
Kilometers.
Kilometers. Well done, Nathaniel. Nathaniel, have you ever been to Toco?
Yes.
Did it take you a long time to get there?
Yes.
Yes, indeed, right? Toco tends to be a very long drive unless you're living in Toco itself, all right? So thank you so much. That is the correct answer. And we have one more, which is the length of a fence around your house, all right? Do I have a caller for this one? Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV. Hi, good afternoon, caller.
Hi.
Hi, and who am I speaking with?
Naomi Mohammed.
Hey, welcome, Naomi. Can you tell me the unit of length you'd use to measure the distance of or the length of the fence around your house?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Meters.
Meters, all right? So meters would be most appropriate. All right, thank you so much, Naomi. All right, so let's see. I'm going to bring our ruler into a blank page here now. And let's have a look at the ruler a little bit, all right? So, alter the background. All right. So again, this is not the scale, but if you have a ruler of, let's say, 15 centimeters, if you have a ruler right now in your possession, I am asking you to go and get your ruler, all right? You'd notice that the ruler is generally marked because these big numbers are representative of our centimeters, all right? Can I get any closer in on this ruler here? Or maybe I could try to expand it a bit. All right. Okay. So, right, we have this ruler, and we have here from 0 to 1 is our centimeter. All right, that's a centimeter. And you'll notice that there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 finer markings in between. All right, the longer one in the middle, giving you the middle point or the midpoint, which is at 5 millimeters. All right, so we have here the 1 centimeter, and the 1 centimeter is broken up into 10 millimeters. All right, so that's the midpoint there of the 5 millimeters, and this entire thing here is 1 centimeter. All right, so each of those finer marks on your ruler is a millimeter. All right, so the second activity is that, and I'm doing this one just for our friend Nicholas here. All right, that's fine. He didn't know the answer for that one off the bat. But that's what we're all about on this program, all right? It's all about improvement, okay? You measure your typical pencil point, unless you have a very odd pencil where you sharpen your pencil to such an extent that the point might be, very on the brink of snapping at any point in time now. It should fall within the millimeter range, right? Millimeters would be anything shorter than this 1 centimeter here on your ruler from 0 to 1, all right? Very rarely would you have a pencil point being much longer than a centimeter, if it even manages to be a centimeter, all right? That's normally speaking, all right? Maybe it might be a centimeter, a little bit more, all right? But the question asks, typically, what would you use to measure, or what length or unit of length would be appropriate to measure the length of a pencil point? You're going to go for the millimeter, all right, students? And as for the thickness of the textbook, if you have a textbook with you, perhaps you have a big maths textbook or an English textbook, and you hold the ruler up against it, you might recognize that you have to rely on using these bigger numbers, all right, which are the centimeters to measure them, all right? You might get a few centimeters in thickness. Of course, if it's a very thin textbook, you might have to use the millimeter to measure it, all right? And a meter is 100 centimeters, all right? So you have in your possession perhaps a ruler of 10 to 15 centimeters in length, all right? So you have to have a number of those lined up in order to get a full meter, all right? So a meter is 100 centimeters. Okay, so I hope that that's clear to everybody there. That's why, you could probably use, I don't know if your teachers still use meter rules in your classroom, all right? So then usually in every classroom there would be a meter rule. Just for demonstrative purposes, sometimes the teacher uses it to draw those long lines on the board and so on. All right, that would give you an idea of the meter. And 1,000 of those gives you a kilometer. All right, so the distance from where we are all the way to Toko, we need quite a bit of those meter rules in order to get the measurement from your location to Toko, of course, once you're not actually within Toko, all right? So if you do have a ruler, I hope that brought a little bit of clarity as to the difference between the millimeters and the centimeters in particular, all right? If you do have a meter rule at home, well, even better, all right? That is a meter, and we said that there's 1,000 millimeters in that meter, or 100 centimeters, all right? And a kilometer is made up of 1,000 of those meter rules, all right? So this is an example, of a question that you might get in SCA, all right? Naomi is measuring the thickness of a copybook, and what unit of measure will she use, all right? We had a question very similar to this just now in the 4 questions that I had up, all right? And we had a textbook, and our caller, I believe it was Naomi, said that it probably be, or maybe it was Brianna, that we'd use a centimeter, right? Or if it's a very thin textbook, we'd use the millimeter, all right? So because we've basically answered this question before, I won't take a call on that one, all right? And I saw another sample question that although it pertains to area, all right? If we have a rectangular room, for example, so I'll welcome any calls or anybody to volunteer to answer this one, all right? If you have perhaps a meter rule in your possession, all right, or a normal ruler, which would you use really to measure the area or the dimensions of that classroom floor, let's say in a rectangular classroom, to work out the area, right? And that will give you an idea of which answer here is most appropriate. So I have a caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hi, evening.
Is this Nicholas?
Yes.
All right, Nicholas. Did you understand what I said about the millimeters on the ruler just now?
Yeah, I understand now. I get a little excited.
All right, no problem, no problem. And by the way, I got the good news about your exam, so I also want to congratulate you on that past paper or that practice paper that you did, all right?
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
For number 2, right? They said
Yeah.
select the best unit for measurement. The area of your classroom is meters squared.
Meters squared. Excellent, excellent work. Thank you. Thank you, Nicholas.
Yes, yep.
All right, so that is a bit of redemption there, all right? So it wasn't meters to measure the length of the pencil point, but meters squared to measure the area of the classroom. Most classrooms, you know, tend to be, at least here in Trinidad and Tobago, tend to be rectangular in shape, all right? Or maybe square, but along the lines, something between a square and a rectangle, all right? So what would you use to measure? What unit of measurement would you use to measure, let's say, the length and the breadth of that classroom? All right, it should be or become apparent to you that you would use meters to measure the length of your typical classroom and the breadth of your typical classroom. You multiply meters by meters, you're going to get a square meter area, all right, or meters squared, and that's why the best unit for measuring the area of the classroom floor is meters squared, as Nicholas correctly identified. All right, so that's absolutely correct. Meters squared. All right. Okay, so let's begin our discussion on conversion. And very shortly we'll be taking more calls because we have a lot of conversions to do. It is something that students trip up over all the time. All right, because it involves decimals and dividing decimals and so on, where to put the point. It's something that can have you sweating a bit, all right? So hopefully we are going to give you the remedy for that right now. So length conversion, all right? To convert a larger unit of length to a smaller one, we have to multiply, all right? So if you're moving from meters to centimeters, centimeters to millimeters, kilometers to meters, or kilometers to any of those smaller ones, you're going to have to multiply, all right? If it's like if you have a longer thing, all right, or a description of a very long object, and now you're going to break it up into smaller pieces and count in the same length, you're going to have more of those, all right? You're not going to have less of them, you're going to have more of those. That's why we have to multiply, all right? So here we have an example where we have to change or convert 8 centimeters into millimeters. And remember, I had up that also important conversion table of those common conversions that you have to know. All right, centimeter to millimeters, centimeters to meters, millimeters to a meter, and meters to kilometers. Those are the 4 that you're generally going to be working with, all right? So we have 10 millimeters being equal to 1 centimeter, right? For every 1 centimeter, just like we had the ruler up on the board just now, that was broken up into the 10 finer strokes, so the 10 finer sections, all right, each being a millimeter in length. We need to convert now that measurement of 8 centimeters to millimeters, all right? So we're going to have 8 of those centimeter lengths divided up into 10, all right? So how many millimeters are we going to have? We have to multiply the number 8 by 10, and that's how we'll end up with 80 millimeters, all right? So I hope that that makes sense to you. We're going from a larger unit to a smaller unit, and therefore we have to multiply, all right? And the number that we are multiplying by would be based on what is the conversion rate between those units, all right? So like I said, like I emphasized, you need to know those, all right? Let's learn something more about conversion, all right? So when we are multiplying by powers of 10, what do I mean by powers of 10? Your numbers like 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, a million, and so on, all right? We have to move our decimal point 1 or more places to the right, all right? 1 or more places to the right when we are multiplying. Don't forget that, all right? if we're multiplying by 10, for example, we're going to move our point once, right? 1 for 10. And the way to unlock your understanding of that is to look at the number of zeros, all right, in our powers of 10. Okay, so you're multiplying by 10, you're just going to move the decimal point once. There's to the right, there's only 1 0 in the number 10. All right, you're going to multiply by 100. You'll move it 2 times. Notice there are 2 zeros in the number 100. All right, so if you look at those zeros, you can't go wrong in learning or in understanding how many times to move that decimal point. All right, if there are no more decimal fractions, we add a 0 for each place moved. Right, that might sound a bit confusing, but we'll see it in action just now. All right, so the decimal fractions are all of those numerals that come after the decimal point. All right, so for example, we have the number, this is just for example, 50.75 meters. These numbers after the point, all right, those are our decimal fractions, 7 over 10 and 5 over 100. And again, we've covered those place values in our place value discourses that are available to you on Facebook and on YouTube. All right, so check those out if you didn't already, so that you can firm up your understanding of place value, all right, in the decimal system. So we have to convert 2.5 meters to centimeters. Again, we have to think back to our conversion key. All right, how many centimeters are there in a meter? What are we moving from? A larger unit, which is the meters, to a smaller unit, the centimeter. There's 100 centimeters in a meter, all right? And we have all of those wonderful graphics there for you to remind you or to help you to learn those conversions, all right? And to learn what the various prefixes mean. The centi meaning 100th of, all right? 100th of a meter, all right? So we have 100 centimeters in a meter. So when we are multiplying now by 100, we are multiplying, so we have to move our decimal point to the right when we multiply, okay? And how many places we have to move it? We have to move it twice because the number 100 has 2 zeros in it, all right? And we said that whenever we move the point and there are no longer any decimal fractions, we have to add a 0, all right? So look, I've spaced it out deliberately for you to see what's going on here, right? We have 2.5 and we are multiplying by 100, so we have to move it once, all right? So we've hopped behind the 5 now, and we have to move it a second time, all right? There was no decimal fraction there, so we have to place a 0, and our point will no longer be here. Our point has now moved to the end, all right? That's how we get 250 centimeters. Where did that point go? Well, technically, the point is still there, all right? It's 250.0 centimeters. And you can add as many zeros you want after this decimal point. As a matter of fact, it will still only be equal to 250 centimeters, because all this means is that it's 250 whole centimeters without any decimal fractions attached to it, all right? So because we don't have any, we don't need to write the point back. We just write the number 250 as it is, all right? And notice that we added that 0 because we moved our point twice, all right? And at one time that we moved it, there was no decimal fraction to move it past, so we had to add a 0, all right? I know that that's a lot to take in. A lot of people struggle with this, but we have a lot of practice coming up for you right now. So you can give us a call, all right? Those numbers will be there for you on the screen. And give us a call, and you'll help me to convert some of these units, all right? Units of length. So we have 4 centimeters, and we would like to convert that to millimeters. We have 18 centimeters, and we have something with a length of 3 centimeters and 4 millimeters. All right, how are we going to convert these to millimeters? What is the conversion rate from centimeters, to millimeters? If you know the answer to any of these, and you'd like to help me, of course, the lines are open and you may call now. All right, so I have a caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hi, evening.
Hi, evening. And can you tell me how many millimeters is equivalent to 4 centimeters?
4 cm is equal to 40 mm. Because you just move the point, right, one place to the right, and you get 40 millimeters.
All right, excellent. So we get 40 millimeters. Very good. All right, thank you, Nicholas.
Yes.
All right. So do we have another caller for 18 centimeters? Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening. And who am I speaking with?
Maya.
Welcome to the program, Maya. Maya, can you help me convert 18 centimeters to millimeters?
Okay, 18 cm will equal to 180 mm.
All right, great. And you got that by multiplying by?
10.
All right, Maya, hold the line there for me, right? I want to see if you can help me with number 3 one time.
Okay.
Because this one is a bit different. So we have 3 centimeters and 4 millimeters, right?
Yeah.
And we want to know the length in millimeters only. All right, how would we do that?
Okay, since we already have 4 millimeters,
Yes,
we don't have to convert that.
correct.
But since we have 3 centimeters, we have to convert that. So 3 centimeters is equal to 30 millimeters, and I
Yes.
have the 4 millimeters.
Right.
So I add that, so it will be in total 34 millimeters.
Excellently done, Maya. That is 100% correct. All right, thank you for your call. So we did 3 by 10, all right, to convert the centimeter part, and we add the 4 millimeters because it's already in millimeters, and that gives us 30 plus 4, which is 34 millimeters. All right, and all right, so we have a few more of these, and now we're going to get into our decimal points as well. All right, so I have a caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV. Hello, caller. Good evening, caller. All right, so we seem to have lost that one. I have another caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results. Hi, good day. Who am I speaking with?
Ebenezer Smart.
Welcome, Ebenezer Smart. Can you help me convert 11 centimeters and 7 millimeters to millimeters alone?
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
11 by 10 equals 110 millimeters, plus the 7 equals 117 millimeters.
All right, so we have 117 millimeters. Ebenezer, can you help me convert 8.9 centimeters to millimeters?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
8.9
Yes.
centimeters by 10. You move the point to the right, and you get 89 millimeters.
All right, excellent. Thank you so much, Ebenezer, for your call. And I have one more on the screen. I have 12.25 centimeters to millimeters. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hello,
Hi, good day. And who am I speaking with?
Micah George from Point Fortin RC School.
Welcome, Micah George, another very active student on our Edmodo app. Can you tell me, Micah, how to convert 12.25 centimeters to millimeters?
We need to multiply by 10, so we move the decimal point 1 close to the right.
Yes.
You'll get 122.5 ml.
122.5 millimeters. Thank you so much, Maya. That is absolutely right. Okay. So we have just been converting basically centimeters and millimeters into millimeters alone, all right? And that conversion from centimeters to millimeters was just simply multiplying by the number 10. Now we have some meter units on the board, some lengths given or stated in terms of meters. And we want to convert these to millimeters. What's the difference? How do we do it? I have a call on the line already.
Hang
Good
up
evening,
and try your
caller.
call again.
All right, so I lost that call. I have another. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hello,
Hello, and who am I speaking with?
I'm William.
Welcome, Amaya. Welcome, welcome. Another Edmodo regular. Can you tell me how to convert 6 meters to millimeters?
Yes.
Go ahead, please.
You multiply the 6 by 1,000 because they are 1,000 millimeters in a meter.
All
And
right.
you get 6,000 millimeters.
All right. Excellent work, Amaya. Thank you so much. All right. Do I have another caller for number 8? All right. So we're converting 0.75 meters to millimeters now. All right. And as Amaya just correctly told us, there are 1,000 millimeters in 1 meter. So we are therefore multiplying by the number 1,000. All right. The number 1,000 has 3 zeros. So we move our point 3 places to the right. I have another caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hello, good day.
Hi, good day. And who am I speaking with?
John Thomas.
Hey, welcome to our show. Can you tell me how to convert 0.75 meters to millimeters?
Okay, 0.75 meters is 750 centimeters.
Millimeters or centimeters?
Centimeters.
All right, so you did the work correct, but hopefully in your paper you will have written millimeters, right? Because we are converting from meters
yes.
to millimeters.
Okay.
All right, but thank you so much. That is absolutely right. So notice that we had to move our decimal point here 3 times. All right, we started from here. We moved it once, twice, and no more decimal fractions, so we had to add a 0, right? And that's how we got 750. Thank you so much for your call. Do I have another caller on the line to answer number 9? We have 2.25 meters, and we'd like to express that in millimeters. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Hi, it's Naomi Mohammed.
Hi, welcome, Naomi. Can you tell me how to convert 2.25 meters to millimeters?
Yes, we multiply by 1,000 by moving the decimal point 3 times.
All right, great. And what would that give me the answer to be?
2,250 millimeters.
2,250 millimeters. All right, excellent work, Naomi. All right.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. All right. Okay, so this is one conversion that we haven't looked at. So far, we've done centimeters to millimeters. We've done meters to millimeters, and now we are converting from meters to centimeters. All right, what's the difference here again? Hopefully, you are paying attention and you know. All right, so we have 15 meters, and we'd like to convert that into centimeters. How do we do that? What is the conversion from meters to centimeters? All right, so if you think you know the answer to this, of course, we welcome your calls at this time. Those numbers are there on the screen. I have a caller. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV. Hello, good day.
Hi.
Hi, and who am I speaking with? Hello?
Karen Felix.
Okay, welcome to the program. Can you help me convert 15 meters to centimeters?
That would be 15
Yes.
multiplied by 100.
All right, great. So That is correct, all right? We have 100 centimeters in 1 meter. So when I multiply that, what would my answer be?
centimeters.
All right, great. 1,500 centimeters. Thank you so much for your call. All right, now we have here a length that is given in terms of meters and centimeters. All right, and we'd like to convert it, get it all into centimeters only. All right, so do I have a caller to assist me with that particular problem? All right, 16 meters and 50 centimeters. Good evening, caller.
Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening, and who am I speaking with?
Amaya Williams.
Hi, welcome back, Amaya. Can you help me convert 16 meters, 50 centimeters, to centimeters?
Yes.
Okay.
You multiply 16 by 100, you get 1600 plus the 50 centimeters. Plus the 50 centimeters is 1,650 centimeters.
All right, very good. And would you like to do the last one on this page for me? 8 meters and 45 centimeters.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Amaya.
You multiply 8 by 100 and you get 800 meters.
Yes.
Plus the 45 centimeters
Yeah.
is 845 centimeters.
845 centimeters. Thank you so much, Amaya. All right. So I have a few more here that are very much decimal based, right? We have numbers after our decimal points and so on. All right. And we are converting still from centimeters to meters. All right. Good evening, caller. Welcome to C Results on IBN TV. Hi, and who am I speaking with? Hello?
Hello?
Hi, good day. Can you help me convert 16.2 meters to centimeters?
What's that?
The number 13 on your screen, are you seeing it? We have to convert 16.2 meters to centimeters. Caller, are you with us? All right, so perhaps we should take another call. Do I have another call on the line? Good evening, welcome to C Results on IBN TV. Hello, good day.
Will be 16.2 times 100, and that'll give 16,200.
You sure about that? 16,200?
No, because 1 meter, right, is equal to 100 centimeter.
Right, very good.
Right. So you just times it by 100, and you just move the point 2 places to the right, so you get 16,000. 16.
Take your time, take your time, take your time. So you move the point 2 times, right?
Right.
And you went after the decimal point 2, and then you moved it one more time,
Right.
and you put a 0 there. That's what you did, right?
Yeah, and then I move it again.
Why
and
you
I get
moving it?
1,000.
Why? Hold up, Nicholas. Hold up, Nicholas. Why are you moving it another time?
No.
How many centimeters in a meter? 100, right?
Right.
So how many times we have to move it? Look at the number of zeros here. How many zeros we have?
We have 2 zeros, so you just move it the point 2 places to the right.
Right. So therefore we moved it 2 times. So we've already moved it twice. So we have 1620.
Right.
Can you read that number for me now?
1,620.
All right. So you got that? You're clear on that now?
Yeah.
All right. Try the next one with me then. We have 8.275 meters to centimeters.
All right. Okay. So 8.275.
Yeah.
As I said before, you just move the point 2 places to the right. So the point will become the answer will 827.5 centimeters.
All right, excellent. So that was free of error this time. So well done. Well done, well done. Thank you so much, Nicholas. All right. So yes, guys, sometimes it's very common. It's a very common mistake. You're multiplying by 100. The number 100 has, 3 digits there in the number 100. So you want to move it 3 times instead of 2. No, that's why I told you to pay attention to the number of zeros, all right? So we have 14.84 meters, and we have to convert that to centimeters. I have a caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results on IBN TV.
Good evening.
And who am I speaking with?
Amaya Williams again.
Welcome back, Amaya. 14.84 meters in centimeters is how much?
It is 1,484 centimeters.
Excellent. 1,484, because we multiplied by 100, right?
100.
All right, great. All right. So that's correct. Thank you so much for your call. All right. Okay, so I have some questions here that are mixed, all right? The conversion, we have different options so that you can't really predict where we're going with it. You have to look carefully at the number in the brackets and convert it for us. So I have a caller on the line. Good evening, caller. Welcome to See Results.
Hi,
Hi, good day. And who am I speaking with?
Antonio George.
Welcome to our program. Can you tell me how to convert 9 centimeters to millimeters?
9 centimeters to millimeters as well. To be 90 millimeters.
Right. What number did you multiply by?
10.
Great. So that is correct. There are 10 millimeters in a centimeter, right? All right. Okay. So let's do one more. I have a caller on the line. Welcome, caller, to See Results on IBN TV. Hi, good evening, caller.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Joseph again.
Sorry?
Joseph once again.
Hey, welcome back, Joseph. All right, so Joseph,
Yeah.
I want you to do number 18 for me. All right, we have 6.45 kilometers, and I'm converting that to meters. What do I need to multiply by?
Well, they're multiplying
Yeah.
6.45
Yeah.
by 1,000.
Right. What would the answer be, Joseph?
The answer would be 6,450.
Right. You move the decimal point how many times?
Three places, right? Yeah.
3 places. All right. Thank you so much, Joseph. You are absolutely right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, welcome. All right. So that's about as much practice as we can get in for today. All right. We're going to take a break now until 6 p.m., where we will be joined by Miss Nyla, who will be doing creative writing this evening. She'll get the ball rolling for a bit before we move on to the Maghrib Adhan, all right? So those of you parents there who are interested, you can visit edmodo.com and register your child as a student member of our class using the code 6KJQ3Y. That's on edmodo.com or via the Edmodo app, all right? So thank you so much for your participation. We did have a number of more questions to do, and we have to do the conversions in the opposite direction now, all right, from smaller units to larger units, and we'll be doing that on Monday, God willing, all right? So thank you so much. I have been your math teacher, Sir Ijaz Ramsahai, and you'll be rejoining us at 6 for Creative Writing with Miss Nyla. Assalamu alaikum and good evening.
High blood pressure is as dangerous as an overpumped balloon. Measuring your blood pressure every day can save you from risk of high blood pressure. MicroLife fully automatic upper arm blood pressure monitor with stroke risk detection. MicroLife AFib screens for atrial fibrillation while taking your blood pressure. High blood pressure and atrial fibrillation are both considered controllable risk factors for stroke. If AFib is present during blood pressure measurement, the AFib icon is displayed flashing at the end of the triple measurement. Once 3 measurements are complete, the measurement data are shown on the display. MicroLife, a partner for people, for life.
Assalamu alaikum, good evening guys, and thank you for joining me right here on C Results. And of course, welcome to all our viewers who are live streaming, whether it's on the C Results page or IBN TV 8 page, okay? So it's a pleasure being in your company as usual. Today we have creative writing, and in store for you, we are moving along with character description. Now, last day and day before that, we completed and looked at character description, but the physical appearance of people or humans, right? So for those of you, when you are writing about your characters in your story, and you have to describe all of these features here, whether it's age, height, shape, their mouth, eyebrows, their voice, their eyes, clothing, hair, whatever it is, whatever physical description it is, we helped you, okay? We gave you a lot of sentences that we would like you to use to improve your writing, especially if you're sitting there and you're wondering, well, what else can I say about this person, right? So we helped you, and we looked at a couple strategies to help you, you know, when you are writing, and if you are stuck, how to move along. Now, character description has a lot for us to deal with, so we are not quite finished as yet. What we are going to do now, we are going to move on a little bit to the emotions part of your character. So now in a story, when you are writing, we must be able, you know, the reader must be able to feel what the character is feeling, right? So that's what happened through, of course, choice of words. So your description, of course, and use of figurative language. Hence the reason, before we started character description and setting description, we looked at figurative language, okay, and descriptive language, so that this will help you to improve your writing. So we are moving on to emotions, and I have about 10 different emotions for you. The popular ones, you know, in your story, whether it's your character is feeling determined, happy, sad, irritated, miserable. However, you know, the common feelings that we use in our character description, we are going to look at some sample sentences to help you to describe the emotions of your characters. Now, it's very important that you give us the feelings, right? The feeling of your character. That is going to help build on the personality of that character, of course, and contribute to your story. And indeed, make that story more interesting and appealing to the reader. That's the idea behind narrative style writing, to make that story interesting and, you know, to captivate the reader's attention as best as possible. And that's what we want you to do. We want you to practice upon the pieces that we are giving you. For example, currently this week, we had up an assignment for creative writing where you had to give us a description, right, of a character. So now, in that description, you could have used a number of sentences that we have already shown you. So I want you not only to read it with us when you are here, maybe take some time, replay the video, you know, look at sentences that are suitable to you, probably your style of writing, how you imagine your characters to be. Some of us will lean to a certain type of character. So, you know, if you like to write about something dark or something treacherous, probably something happy, right? We looked at some sentences that you can use. Please use it. I urge you, I am begging you, use it in your writing. And in fact, we have been seeing some students already practicing that. So kudos to you guys, right? So let's move on to some emotions here. And emotions we're starting off with, you know, if your character is probably concentrated on something or determined, right? How can we express that? What can we say about that character for you to portray how that character is feeling? You can probably say, she tried desperately to remember where she had seen him before. So notice here, tried desperately here, right? So she's trying to remember something. Desperate there, that word desperate itself tells us how that character is, what state or what mood that character is, how she's feeling. He was deep in thought and heard little of what was being said around him. So this is somebody here, right, completely blocking out whatever is going on around them. They are taken up so deep in their thought, right, that they don't even know what's happening right next to them, or probably somebody walked past them. So if you want to say somebody's really concentrating, that's a great line for you to use. He shuddered and tensed as a hard ball of determination tightened in his stomach. So somebody's really determined to do something, you don't want to give up. How are you going to feel, right? What emotions are coming across you? He was silent and stony-faced. With his chin jutting out, he paced backwards and forwards across the room, deep in thought. And by reading that line there, you can visualize how this character, or the behavior of this character, right? You're trying to figure out what to do, okay? You're concentrating, you want to complete something, but you're thinking about the best way to do it. And now from writing a line such as this, where you say he was silent and stony-faced, right? It tells us how that character was. So he's serious, okay? He's not letting anything disturb him. He is deep in concentration. So that was just a few lines there to help you, you know, to talk about concentration and determination. Of course, there are many, many different sentences, and I'm sure some of you have the ones that you liked and stick to. That's fine. But try something new, you know, explore, go on Google, do some extra research, and so on, and increase your vocabulary, okay? Okay, guys, so it's already 6:05, which means we have to take a short break for the Maghrib Adhan. But don't go anywhere. As soon as the Maghrib Adhan is finished, I'm going to be rejoining you here to continue with our character description. Assalamu alaikum, good evening guys, and welcome back to See Results, and you are rejoining me right here for creative writing. So just before the break, we looked at, and we started in fact, emotions of characters, and we only just looked at concentrating and determining. So now we are moving on to sympathetic or caring, so a character that has these feelings or portrays these feelings. His face turned soft and sympathetic, and his voice sank to a murmur, right? So have you ever been in the situation where you are feeling, you know, this way, right? You're caring, you're sympathetic towards something, and you fall into that sort of emotion yourself, right? And I think that sentence there, you know, says it nicely. It describes it nicely how somebody really feels or what happens when you feel this way. She drew her eyebrows together and turned her mouth down in a look of concern, right? So this last piece here, right, turned her mouth down in a look of concern, says it all. It tells us exactly how that character is feeling and what is happening there. Her brown eyes were like velvet, warm and comforting. So maybe you're in a problem, you're in a predicament, and you go to this person, and from looking at her and the look in her eyes, even the color of her eyes and her behavior, right, gives you comfort, right? It tells you that that person is caring, and you can go to that person maybe for advice. As he looked down on her, his eyes beamed with warmth, like candles in the dark. Again, similarly here, right, this look here is a look of care, a look of concern, all of those things. So the way you look at somebody, or the way your character looks at someone in your story tells something about them. So what I would like to say here also, remember when we were speaking about characters, we said that you can tell about a character directly or indirectly. So this here, I would say, is telling of a character indirectly. So he's not saying he's caring or he's concerned or so on, right? From this sentence we gave here and the words that we use, choice of words, tells us about that character. What about relieved? So you're finished, you know, you probably just came out of a scenario, you're shocked, right? You just had a tremendous ordeal, something severe, serious, you know. How are you going to feel? How is your character going to feel? How do you want the reader to feel after all of that just happened? Let's see. Slowly, the pounding eased in her chest and the sweat dried on her brow. So clearly there, they are telling us that this person is no longer stressed, or they are relieved, ease of some sort of tension. She could feel the blood surging around her body and releasing the tension, right? So how does your body feel when you are relieved, right? You can feel your shoulders drop, probably your back loosen, all of those things, right? There's a difference. He began to calm down, and his heart started to slow. But the panic had left an ache in his head and a ringing in his ear. So sometimes you're going through so much, right? So much things are happening at once. And right after it has passed, you know, you're still feeling that sensation, you know, as if you were in that trance still. So all the after effects, I would say then, right? So you have a headache, your ear is ringing, you might still feel that dryness in your throat, but you are still relieved. His breathing grew slower as a new calm settled over her. So it should be him here. So his breathing grew slower as a new calm settled over him. Simple enough there. Let's move on to angry, aggressive, irritated, or impatient. So we have four different emotions. So let's look at these sentences here to help us describe these emotions. He was sweating and burning with rage. So probably angry, right? Have you ever seen an angry person? Maybe you yourself. How do you get, right? How do you tense up? What do you do? What actions? How do you express that? What's your body language like? That is all of the things we want you to say. We want you to write it clearly, right? Descriptive, vivid, enough so much so that the reader puts herself in this position. They are lost in your story. She saw his face through narrowed eyes and a fog of rage, right? So all of this is going on, right? She's looking at him in this state, and she can see that he is in a rage. Her reply fueled his anger, and he erupted like a volcano. So maybe somebody triggered him off, right? Told him something that they did not want to hear. How will you react to that, right? That's not what you wanted. That's not the reply you were looking for. How are you going to react to that situation? His fury knew no limits. One vicious flash of temper after another. So maybe here you're describing a fight, right? You're describing some sort of scenario that indicates that your character here was in an altercation, and they're telling you what is happening. How does he react to that situation? He's not stopping, okay? It's one after the next. Continuing here, the same four emotions. Her rage swept through her like a tidal wave, surrounding her like a foul stench. Now, they say here, use a simile like a foul stench. Now, when they say like a foul stench, what do you think about? Have you ever smelled something, foul like that, right? It surrounds you, it doesn't want to leave you, that scent lingers. So, right, they are comparing it to that stench. His rage swept through like a tidal wave. It's remaining there, okay? He's not calming down. He's really angry, he's mad. The man strode towards me wearing an angry expression. So somebody's coming at you violently, probably rapidly, right? And you can see in their face that they are violent, that they are angry. Something is going on with that person. His reddening face was twisted into a venomous snarl, and the veins in his neck pulsed furiously. So that vein there on your neck, have you ever seen it, probably popping out a little bit, right? When somebody's really angry, probably in a situation, a fight, or something like that. They lost something, right? And here they're saying his face, the color of his face changed. Some of us become red when we are angry, right? So his face is becoming red and twisted into a venomous snarl. So picture his mouth, right? Picture that look on his face. How is he twisting his lips, right? So it paints a nice picture for us there of an angry person. Her face twisted in fury, her eyes menacing slits, her mouth a nasty sneer. Similar to what we just read here, right? Choice of words different and how they laid out that sentence. It gives us the same idea, right? Paints the same picture for us. So that's what I want. While you are saying he was angry or mad as a bull or whatever it is, spice up those sentences a little bit. Give us a little more, right? Follow these examples and practice using it in your writing. Impress your teachers, impress yourself, impress your parents. Remember, every mark counts for the SEA, and this is just a simple way, that you can increase that mark, right? By building on your character or your setting, focusing on some of the key things that are marked for SEA, right? So all of this is very important. So let's move on to a character, cold in ways, evil, sly, or arrogant. Let's see. His pale, skull-like face split into an evil grin. Here they are giving us a description of that face as well, right? But here, when they say his pale, skull-like face split into an evil grin, that evil there is telling us about how that person is, right? How they may act, what sort of feeling you get when you are close to this person, or what impression they might give. Every word he spoke dribbled with venom and hate. So here, from the way that somebody is speaking, probably tone of voice or whatever it is, you can tell that they are full of hate. They are so angry. You can feel it from their tone of voice. She directed a look of pure venom at his retreating back. So somebody's walking off on you, right? You're so mad, you're so angry about something. And what do? Right? You may not react violently, but you might do something like this. She directed a look of pure venom. So he's walking away, he's retreating back there, somebody's walking away. How do you stare at that person? You are so mad at them, right? How do you stare at them, sorry, right? I'm sure you can picture that. You probably have done it once or twice. Snorting with contempt, he bared his yellow teeth into a reptilian sneer. So this person here, right? Can you picture this look from a character's face, or somebody or a character in a story that might be giving you or give you, this look? Here they're describing the teeth, that's one, right, into a reptilian snare. So they're probably like some reptile that you may know about that's really vicious, right? Have that look on their face. For any time you see that, you are frightened, okay? You take a step back. That's the look you are getting there. That's the feeling he's giving off. He raised his eyebrows and glared at her with a cold, arrogant expression. Somebody here, clearly arrogant in ways, right? Do not want to hear what you have to say, right? They're looking at you, raised eyebrows, probably a sly look on their face, like, do not speak to me, do not approach me, right? That sort of look, that feeling. What about somebody who is scared or frightened? Scared, frightened, timid, right? So scared, frightened, or shy, let's see. Every bone in his body warned him not to go further. So here you're in a scenario, you probably heard a strange noise coming from your basement, coming from your attic. Those are popular ones that we get in the SCA all the time. You know, right on the topic that you were upstairs or you were in a house and you heard a suspicious noise. What did you see? What happened? You know, all of those things. That's a popular story topic. So here, every bone in his body warned him not to go further. So he's trying not to investigate. But will he stop? Right? Can he stop himself? He was sick with fear, but the thought of the consequences urged him on. Similarly here, he does not want to stop. He wants to find out what is the problem, right? Who is in the attic? What's making that noise outside? Where did that smell come from? Where did that sound come from? All of those things. She was struck dead with terror. Her heart was beating painfully fast and banging against her ribs. So now you're downstairs, probably in the basement, you found what was making that noise. So the sight of this, right, first glance, you become, or you are in the state, you are struck dead with terror. You cannot move. You're probably paralyzed by fear. You're standing there, you're shaking, you're trembling. You don't know what to do, right? Your heart is beating painfully. It's beating so fast, you can feel like it's bursting out of your chest. It's almost painful, right? And you can feel that vibration along your chest or your ribs. So picture that. That's what we want when we are telling you to describe for us emotions. We must be able to feel that as well. We are still here on scared, frightened, or timid. Her heart missed a beat, squeezed like a vice by shock. So similarly here, right? So instead of, if you choose, you're saying the same thing here, you're struck dead with terror. Instead, maybe you can use this line, right? Her heart missed a beat, right? Squeezed by a vice of shock, says the same thing. It's your choice, whichever you choose to write in your story. As she listened to the news, a troubled expression settled on her face. So you're at home, you're just looking at television, you flipped on the news, and you came across some bad information or some bad news, right? How are you going to feel? You're going to be in a state of shock, and it might cause a troubled expression on your face, because now you don't know what is happening, what is going on. The smile suddenly fell from her face and her jaw dropped. So you were happy, you know, probably skipping down the street. Nothing could spoil your day when all of a sudden you saw something, you know, so grave, so scary that it just spoils your entire mood, right? That smile from your face no longer exists. Now your jaw is dropped. You are shocked. You are surprised. What is happening here? Clasping her hand in her lap, she moved her lips silently in prayer. Now, can you picture a scenario in your story where you would have to use this sentence, right? You're in contact. You're face to face with that vicious monster, right? They are about to attack you. You have nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Here, the only solution, the only thing that you can think about, you're going to pray. So here's a nice way to say that. Clasping her hands in her lap, she moved her lips silently in prayer. So that's a very nice line there you can insert in your writing. She bit her lip to stop her teeth from chattering, right? So have you ever been in a situation that you're so frightened that, you know, your teeth start to chatter, right? That's what they're saying here. How do you control that, right? So she's biting her lip to avoid it. But how often does that work? You're so frightened, right? Will that work? Now let's move on to somebody who is sad or miserable in your story. So your character now probably had a change of mood. How can we describe that? The pain of loss spread through his chest like a dull ache, right? So we're on the topic, you got some bad news, right? It's very shocking, it's sudden. How are you going to feel when you find out this news, right? So it's a pain of loss spread through his chest like a dull ache. So you're feeling that all over your body, right? So the pain is so real that you can feel it. It's not only emotional, you can physically feel that pain throughout your body, right? From that loss, whatever you are experiencing, whatever you are going through there. A horrible sense of loneliness bled through her. So you're in a situation here, probably in a cave. You can't find your way out. You probably went on a camping trip, right? And you were separated from your friends. So now you're feeling lonely, right? How are you going to cope? How are you going to manage? All of those things you need to consider, especially with emotions for your character. How is your character going to treat with this, right? The gripping pain in her was reflected in her haunted expression. So now she's in so much pain, right? Probably she fell somewhere along the line. She fell, she hurt her leg, something like that. And you can see that pain on her face, right? Or maybe she encountered a monster in the woods. And he attacked her. Now she's in pain. And you can see that look, right? That expression that she's giving you there. When you finally come back, you meet your friend, you discover that she was lost or whatever it is, right? She has this daunting look on her face, right? From something that probably was behind her, chasing her, after her. She does not know how to deal with it. She cannot believe what she just saw. Next one. He buried his head in his hands and tried to block out the sadness erupting inside him. So here, probably you lost something that you really cared about and you don't know what to do, right? The only thing that's coming to you is that emotion of sadness, right? Probably some sort of misery falls in there as well. You don't know, you're feeling a certain type of way. So you don't know what to do. The best thing or the only thing you can do, you just drop your head in your hands and you cry. And sometimes, you know what, guys? That works, okay? But here for your character, right? He's trying to block out the sadness erupting inside. He doesn't want anyone to look at him. He's trying to hide this. Still unsad or miserable. She tried to smile, but her expression faltered as her chin started to tremble. So, sometimes, you're trying not to cry, but it happens anyway, right? You cannot block out that sadness that's overtaken your body. Here's what they're saying. She tried to smile, but her expression faltered. So, that smile that she's trying to build up, trying to muster, she cannot manage, she cannot cope. It's all of a sudden, her chin, it's just a reaction, probably involuntary, starts to tremble, and she begins crying. She pressed her quivering lips together to smother the sob that welled in her throat. So similarly here, this is just another way that you can say this, right? So you're trying not to cry again. How do your lips react? Do your lips usually cope with you? Do your lips usually work with you? No, sometimes they don't, right? So your lips start to quiver. You're trying to smother that sob, but you can no longer, okay? Without warning, tears welled up in her eyes and poured down her face, scalding her cheek as they flowed. So again, somebody's crying here. So you're telling you how that came about, how she tried to, stifle that emotion, but it can no longer work. It does not work for her. She rose shakily to her feet, and her voice trembled as she greeted them. So you're so sad sometimes, that you feel like you don't have enough energy to move, right? So probably this person is in that situation. She rose shakily to her feet, and her voice trembled as she greeted them. So she was crying maybe, a good 5 minutes before that person arrived. So now she must muster up that energy, stand up, walk to them, greet them. But you can still hear, right, that sound resonated in her throat, right? She was crying all along. So how do you sound after you have been crying for some time, right? That's how this person is sounding. Now, what about a character that is in pain? He was injured, right? Probably he was having fun and something happened and he was injured, or maybe he was lost. He, again, going camping, anything like that. Probably skydiving, whatever it is you want your character to be doing in your story. How are you going to tell us about the pain that person is experiencing? Writhing in agony, he clutched his stomach and groaned. So sometimes, have you ever felt a pain so deep, right? That is just, you just kind of shake it off. You know, you clutch your stomach, you hold onto your stomach, and you groan, right? You feel like that's the best way for you to deal with that pain. So picture that. That person's agony, is in so much pain. He let out a loud, ragged wail and tugged wildly at his hair. Again, right? Something happened here. And they don't know what to do, how to cope with this. You start to pull your hair, right? You're groaning, you're moaning, you're screaming loudly, all of those things, right? Because you're trying to deal with this. The pain gripped his head like a clenched fist. He probably has a severe headache, right? So have you ever had a severe headache? You feel like something is just clenching, right? Like a fist clenching at your head. Something is gripping you so tight that you just cannot shake it off. That is what this character is experiencing here. Her mouth gaped like a fish out of water and tears streamed down her face. So maybe she's in awe, right? Something happened there. And that expression, that look on her face tells us how she is feeling, right? And then next thing you know, tears are rolling down her cheeks. Half mad with pain in her back, she released an ear-splitting yell. So they're saying here, pain in her back. So they're telling us where that pain is. And when they say half mad, they mean that pain is so severe, it's so great, that you don't know what to do. You feel as though you're going insane, right? So this is what this character is experiencing here. They don't know how to deal with it, what else to do. They feel like they're going crazy. So, and then that ear-splitting yell, that scream is so loud, it's piercing, right? It can be heard across the hall. Right? It's really high-pitched. She curled into a ball and howled like a wounded animal. So again, another way to describe pain here. They're telling you, and when they say curl like a ball, you can actually picture somebody sitting probably to the corner of the room, in a corner in the room, you know, curled up, head down between knees, you know, and they are experiencing so much pain, right? They howled like a wounded animal. So probably you've heard, you know, a wolf cry, something like that, right? Some sort of animal that you have heard in your real life, you know, cry, that has been in some sort of pain. Of course, it's a simile here, right? Now, you are to the end of your journey, or you're probably not even to the end. You're somewhere in the middle, and you are tired, right? You decided to, you know, go on some sort of adventure with your friends. And you become tired during that adventure, right? How are you going to describe that for your reader, right? What are you going to say? What do you want your character to say, right? So let's see. He could barely put one foot in front of the other and groaned with every step. So here he cannot walk anymore, right? His steps here, he feels like he's given up. His body is given up. He doesn't know what to do. With every step he's taking, he is groaning. Maybe he has an injured leg, something like that, right? But he's also very tired. We can infer that. Her eyes fluttered open and she mumbled weakly. So somebody here just ran a marathon or something, you know, dropped flat on the floor after that or in the middle of that, right? So your eyes start fluttering open and you're mumbling weakly. Probably you want some water, you need some Gatorade or something like that, right? You're extremely tired, you are exhausted. He kept stopping every few meters, whining that he couldn't go any further. So again, you are running, right? You're in your school 5K, and you know, you feel like you're giving up because a lot of us, you know, we don't exercise regularly, so our bodies give up, as soon as we run from here to, just a few meters away, we feel like we're out of breath, our throat is dry, right? The heart is beating fast. You become so tired, you need to stop, right? This is what this person is feeling here. And you keep saying, well, miss, I can't go anymore, or your best friend is with you. You're telling that person every 3 seconds, I need to stop, okay? You are whining. Swallowing hard, he flicked his tongue round his lips, trying to draw some moisture to his mouth and lips. So this is somebody who is dehydrated, right? Yes, they are tired, but they are also dehydrated. They need some water to refresh their bodies a little bit, and of course, they need some rest. Sometimes when you run too much, you walk too far, whatever it is, your mouth becomes dry. That's the feeling they are talking about here, right? They are dry and they need some water, or whatever it is that they may need here. Unable to walk another step, she slumped forward and lay corpse-like on the floor. So this is similar to the first one here, right? And they're telling you here that this person cannot make it any farther. They are tired, probably incapable of completing the task, and all they need to do, or what happened, she slumped forward, so she fell forward, lay corpse-like. So it's like, when they say corpse-like, it's somebody who is dead, right? Flat on the floor, no movement. Just need to just stay like that, nobody to touch you, nobody to talk to you. You don't even want to think. You just want to lay there and rest, right? Exhaustion. So next we are going to look at, the ever popular, happy and excited character. But before we do that, I just want to take a short break, because after all this talking about tired and so on, I need some water myself, so you can probably take a sip and rejoin me in a minute or two. Okay, guys, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Can be viewed on the go now with the Airlink TV app for Google devices. Simply go to the Google Play Store, search for the Airlink TV app, download the app, click on the link and fill out the form. The account activation will be emailed or texted to the user. It's safe as no credit card is needed. The first 30 days are free and you can subscribe and receive a box for your TV to stream the same content.
Assalamu alaikum, good evening guys, and thank you for rejoining me right here on C Results. We are on to creative writing now, and just before the break, we looked at various emotions that your character may experience in your story. We looked at sad, miserable, annoyed, in pain, maybe tired, determined, all of these, okay? So we went through quite a lot. So now we are going to look at excited or happy. Right, so this is one of the more popular ones, emotions that is, for your character in a story. And I love it. There are many, many ways that you can describe how your character feels when they are happy or elated, overjoyed, right? All of those things. There are tons of ways to say it. So why not try different ways to express, you know, how your character is feeling in your story. So let's look here. His elation was an almost unbearable gurgle in his stomach. So, you know, maybe it's your birthday. You get up in the morning and you're really happy. You can't wait to see how the day unfolds. So this is what this person is experiencing, right? It's almost unbearable. They don't know if to scream, shout, jump, what they should do, right? So they're feeling it in their stomach like butterflies. He was buzzing with excitement and couldn't help breaking into a wide grin. So now you got up, you went downstairs, and you saw exactly what you were hoping for. Probably a brand new Xbox or PS4, whatever it is you guys play with these days, right? So, you know, you have that wide grin on your face. You can't help it. You know, you were so happy and pleased with that gift there. She felt as if she was on top of the world, and a glow of happiness spread through her. So, you know, probably you got some really great news, right? Like a lot of you will be getting when you write that SEA exam and you get your results, you know, and you pass for the choice of school that you were hoping for. You feel like you are at the top of the world, right? You want to express that. You want to tell us that, right? So there's a glow of happiness, and you're feeling like nothing can touch you. It's a great feeling, okay? With heart pounding and hands shaking, she tore open the envelope. So maybe this is somebody, you know, you're waiting for that letter, you know, telling you that you're probably invited to some party that you were hoping to be invited for, right? So here it is, the letter has arrived, and your heart is pounding, your hands are shaking, you don't know, you know, how to contain your excitement, right? So you're just moving freely and happily and trying, you know, to contain that, but yet you are overwhelmed. So it's showing when your hands are shaking. Probably mommy is looking at you and she can tell how happy you are from these actions. So now, just for excited and happy, I chose to not only give you emotions, but I want to also go through voice, how a happy voice would sound, you know, somebody who is happy. And there are two others I'm going to be showing you as well. All right, I just did it for emotions, for happy and excited. Of course, there is also a voice, you know, how somebody would speak if they're in pain or if they're tired and so on. But we can't do all of that. It's so much, guys, right? So I encourage you to read, and read as often as you can, right? Reading increases your vocabulary, and it helps you with your speech and your writing, of course, right? So let's take a look, and let's see how you can describe somebody's voice who is happy. He laughed a bit. He laughed a big, hearty laugh that echoed around the room, right? So when you say a laugh, a big, hearty laugh, you can actually hear that laugh, right, of somebody who is really happy, right? She let out a squeal of delight and hopped up and down on the spot. So, again, great news, something like that. How do you react, right? You're in a loud, high-pitched voice, you're squealing or whatever it is, right? I am sure that you can picture that voice, or some of you might be doing it now. You are practicing, I don't know, and you hop up and down on that spot there, expressing yourself. He threw back his head and exploded into guffaws of laughter, right? So you're just laughing and laughing, and the laughter cannot stop, right? It's almost uncontrollable laughter. She tried to smother her laughter, but it exploded as a snort. Now, this is a funny one because we know this is true. So sometimes in a classroom, you and your friend, you are talking, right, and your friend makes a joke. You're trying not to laugh because you know your teacher is in front of the classroom and you should not be distracted by that. But anyway, you're laughing and you can no longer contain that laugh. You snort, and then the entire class erupts in laughter, right, making it a little more funny. So that's the sort of happiness there that this person is experiencing. Now, this is what I was talking about here, happy movement. So there's also movement for somebody who is tired or in pain or irritated or confused, all of those things, right? So let's see how somebody who is happy how they probably might react or how they might move. She threw her arms around her neck and shrieked with joy, right? So you got that gift from mommy and you want to thank her. This is how you will move, right? You just, you jump or run into her arms, right? And you throw your arms around that person's neck and you shriek with joy. She dropped the phone and leapt in the air. Again, great news there, right? Screaming, she pumped the air with her fist. A lot of times we do this. We are so happy, you know, something gave us, we got good news that we wanted, and you do that fist pump there. I know a lot of you are doing it right now. We walked with a bounce. We walked with a bounce. He walked with a bounce in his step and a wide, eager grin on his face, right? So, you know, sometimes some people have a happy dance. This person has a happy bounce, right? They have that bounce in their step because something great is going on in their life right now. They were shivering with excitement and pumped each other's fists enthusiastically, right? So friends again, probably they scored a goal, and this is how they might react, right? So you give your friend a fist pump or whatever it is to show your excitement there. So just going back a second here, for emotions, right, we spoke about determination or concentration. We looked at somebody who's tired and pain, sad, miserable, happy, all of those things. And like I said before, you can talk about, yes, you can talk about emotions, how somebody feels, but you can also talk about how somebody sounds in a scenario, right, and how they may move. And of course, all of this can add to the physical description of the character as well. So when you take a line from physical description and you add one to emotion and probably how that person sounds or moves, it's almost a paragraph, right? It makes up a few lines in your story. Now, be sure not to get carried away and write irrelevant details or give us too much description and stray from the topic. Remember, you must always be on topic. Yes, it's important to give description of your character and your setting, but you do not want to take away from your story. So I just want you to be mindful of that when you are writing. Don't overdo it, okay, guys? Because yes, you are learning a lot, but I don't want you to use all of it at once, right? So what I have here, we're just going to read this paragraph, and from this, we are going to, you know, deduce what sort of emotions this person experienced, right? So we looked at a lot of emotions, so now you have a fair idea, you know, how somebody might treat with happiness or sadness or pain and so on, right? So let's read this paragraph and see how we feel. He buried his head in his hands and tried to block out the sadness erupting inside him. Instead, the pain of loss spread through his chest like a dull ache. His shoulders were slumped and his eyes cast down in a mournful gaze. His mouth was set in a semi-pout. He kicked a stone along the sidewalk with the side of his mud-splattered football boots as he replayed the worst moments of the game. 3-0 to Couva High, of all the schools they could have lost to. So the reason why I chose to do a paragraph, now I want to show you how you can use it in your writing. It's one thing to know a line for how somebody feels when they're happy or sad and so on, but you must also know how to incorporate it into your writing. So back to this paragraph here, what were your initial thoughts when you read the first 2 or 3 lines, right? What sort of scenario did you picture for this character? What did you think this character was experiencing when they said that he buried his head in his hands, right? From the sadness erupting inside. The pain of loss spread through his chest like a dull ache, right? Maybe you were thinking he lost a person in his life. Maybe, right? Your initial thoughts might have been that. But look at what it turned out to be. He actually lost a football game. So your emotions, just as we described here, does not need to be limited to a certain or typical scenario, just as we said, as if somebody died, right? Here you are describing the emotions, sadness, you know, that pain there he is feeling from the loss of a game. So it's still painful, it's still sad to him, and this is how that person who really cares about this sport might feel. So I hope from reading this you can actually feel what this character was feeling, right? Look at this other one here. The waves of helplessness and anxiety that hit her have caught her unaware. They must have been silently building up and gaining momentum while she was recalling the string of heartbreaking events. "Can't breathe," she gasped in panic as the receding waves dragged her into the sea of abysmal darkness. She flailed her arms around frantically, desperate for someone, something, or anything to cling on to. "Help, please," she pleaded, tears threatening to spill. No, she can't. She has to hold them in. She must maintain that brave facade that she has on for the past 40 years. She cried out again as she sank deeper. From this paragraph here, I am wondering, what sort of emotions are you all feeling at this time, right? And if you were, you were enticed by this piece, you were captivated by this piece, right? And you can actually put yourself in a scenario, right? You can picture how this character was feeling there. They're feeling helpless, anxiety is taking over them. They have heartbreaking events, so something sad is going on here, right? Maybe she's dealing with some sort of frustration from all the events that is occurring around her. She does not know how to deal with it, right? So it's painful, right? This person here is desperate for help. All of these tell us or indicate to us how this character is feeling in this situation. And from this, you can picture, what sort of situation this person is. For me, I am thinking maybe somebody is in the middle of an ocean, probably fell out the boat, and nobody noticed, right? Or you were caught in a wave, dragged out far into the sea, right? How are you going to deal with this, right? So all of this here is telling us how this person is feeling. She pleaded, tears threatening to spill, right? She's on the verge of breaking down. She's so sad, right? She does not know what to do, right? What sort of emotions do you think you can add to this piece? How else do you think, this character feels in the scenario, right? All of those things are things that I need you to think about when you are writing, and you have to try your best to bring your scenario and your characters to life as best as you can, of course. Okay, guys, so we are almost out of time, for character description. Before we go, I'm actually just going to point out to you here. As you know, IBN TV and San Juan Muslim Ladies Organization is holding an essay writing competition, why I love to fast in Ramadan. So this is your topic here. It's open to boys and girls on 12 and under. The due date is actually Friday, 10th of April. So this is after the SEA exam. SEA has been confirmed for the 2nd of April, right? So you have some extra time to work on this, so don't worry. It must be handwritten and addressed to this address here, right? So you must submit it to this address. Now, if you weren't already motivated to write on why I love to fast in Ramadan, here's some further motivation. You'll have some cash prizes, some really great ones actually. First place winner is going to get $5,000. Second place, a hearty $3,000. Third place, $2,000. Right, so it's really great prizes, and I encourage you guys, please submit a piece, partake in the competition, right? It's going to be a great experience for you, and encourage your friends, of course. Just want to say thank you so much for joining me right here on See Results and being a part of creative writing today. I know it's a lot of information, but I promise you, the more you practice writing, the better you are going to get at it. And if you follow the 1 or 2 strategies that Sir Ijaz and I give you, regularly for creative writing, you are going to do the best that you can. And of course, don't forget to complete those quizzes and creative writing on the Edmodo page. And for those of you just joining Edmodo, this is our class code here, right? So you just sign on to that app, put in your class code and the instructions for students and instruction for parents to register with us. Very simple. All videos can be found on our Facebook page via See Results, and of course on our YouTube channel, See Results as well. Right, guys? So you have no excuse for missing an episode or anything like that, right? All the information is available for you. Please heed it and use it wisely. So thank you guys, and I will see you on Monday. Monday again, we have mathematics and ELA. So I have been your creative writing teacher, Miss Nyla, and I look forward to seeing you guys next week, okay?
IBN can be viewed on the go now